Kelsey Grammer as Dr. Frasier Crane. Before becoming the psychiatrist we all know as Frasier Crane, Kelsey Grammer was busy building his acting chops. After graduating from Juilliard, he spent a few years gaining experience at theaters in San Diego and Minneapolis. He even took on an early role as a thief in a Los Angeles play based on a George Bernard Shaw work. The 1980s saw him flourish on the New York stage. He starred in productions like A Month in the Country and even made his Broadway debut in Macbeth, eventually taking the lead when the original actor wasn't quite a hit. He continued to showcase his talent in prestigious plays like Othello and Plenty. Interestingly, he was also involved in an early workshop for a now-famous Sondheim musical. Fast forward to 2019, and Grammer tackled the legendary Don Quixote in a London production. That same year, he proved his acting versatility with diverse film roles, appearing alongside Kristen Bell and even facing off against Nicolas Cage. Most recently, 2023 brought back the beloved Frasier Crane. The revival on CBS was such a success that a second season is already on the way, featuring a familiar face from the original show, Kirstie Alley as Rebecca Howe. Rebecca Howe, a stunning manager with a fierce independence, starts strong. But after a string of failed romances, mostly with wealthy men, she sheds her confidence and becomes a little more high-strung. Initially, Sam tries his charm on her, but loses interest as her personality shifts. Before Cheers, Kirstie Alley appeared in the iconic film Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, playing the popular Vulcan officer Saavik. Though fans loved her, Alley chose to leave the role for the sequels. In 1989, she co-starred with John Travolta in the smash hit Look Who's Talking, a movie that raked in a whopping $295 million worldwide. The success sparked two sequels, Look Who's Talking 2 and Look Who's Talking Now. Her talent on Cheers earned her 3 Emmy nominations, finally winning the award in 1991. In a memorable acceptance speech, she thanked her husband Parker for his unwavering support. Years later, Alley brought her personality to reality TV, finishing runner-up on Celebrity Big Brother in 2018. In 2022, she donned a fuzzy costume and competed on The Masked Singer as Baby Mammoth. Off-screen, Alley was married to her high school sweetheart Bob Alley, yes, really, from 1971 to 1977. In 1983, she married actor Parker Stevenson. They adopted a son and a daughter before their divorce in 1997. In 2016, she became a proud grandma. Interestingly, Alley owned properties in both Jacksonville, Oregon, and Clearwater, Florida, from 1988 and 2000, respectively. She also spent time on Islesboro Island, Maine, from 1991 to 2020. Philip Pearlman as Phil. Phil, a wisecracking regular with thick glasses, became a fixture at Cheers in Season 4. He often held court at the back of the bar next to Al, offering witty commentary until Al's passing. Interestingly, Phil was the real-life dad of actress Rhea Pearlman, who played Carla on the show. Before Cheers, acting wasn't even Phil's first act. He actually retired from the toy business before stepping into the spotlight. He even reprised his Cheers role in an episode of Frasier. Beyond Cheers, Phil appeared in several films, often alongside his son-in-law, the famous Danny DeVito. Some of their movies include Throw Mama from the Train and Out of Sight. Born in Poland in 1919, Phil married his wife Adele in 1947. They had 2 daughters, actress Rhea Pearlman and scriptwriter Haida Pearlman. Sadly, Phil passed away in Los Angeles in 2015 at the age of 95. His wife Adele followed him a year later in 2016. Nicholas Colasanto as Ernie Coach Pantuso. The warm-hearted Ernie Coach Pantuso, a retired baseball coach with a memory that sometimes faltered, joined Sam behind the bar after losing his wife. He became a close friend to both Sam and Diane, offering a compassionate ear and down-to-earth advice, even if his solutions occasionally took a detour. Though easily swayed, especially when the bar was on the line. Coach's genuine kindness and unique perspective made him a beloved member of the Cheers family. Before Cheers, Nicholas Colasanto's career took him on various paths. He started as a bookkeeper, then considered accounting overseas. Inspired by a play, he tried his luck at a prestigious acting school, but found his start in a smaller Arizona theater company. Despite success as an actor and director, Colasanto battled heart disease in the mid-70s, worsened by alcoholism. Thankfully, he found sobriety in 1976 through Alcoholics Anonymous. Tragically, Colasanto passed away from a heart attack at home in 1985 at 61. He was deeply respected, with the entire Cheers cast attending his memorial service. Fans also paid their respects at his funeral. Al Rosen as Al, a seasoned barfly with a voice like gravel, was a fixture at Cheers throughout the series. Until actor Al Rosen's passing in 1990, Al would chime in with hilarious one-liners during conversations, often leaving the other characters momentarily stunned by his wit. Before becoming a Cheers regular, Rosen's career was multifaceted. Born in Maryland, he acted in films during the 40s and later became a production supervisor on the popular game show What's My Line in the 70s. There's even a rumor, courtesy of Gilbert Gottfried's podcast, that Rosen once moonlighted as a stuntman for the Three Stooges. Sadly, Al Rosen passed away from cancer in Hollywood at 80 years old. In a touching tribute, the Cheers team dedicated the episode Norm and Cliff's Excellent Adventure to their friend Al, with a special message during the credits. Bebe Neuwirth as Dr. Lilith Sternin. Bebe Neuwirth wasn't just an actress. She brought a psychiatrist's level-headedness to her performances, rarely showing strong emotions on screen. Later in her career, her character's relationship with Dr. Pascal got complicated, leading to their separation and his breakdown. Before captivating audiences on television, Neuwirth honed her craft under acting coach Suzanne Shepard for 2 years. In 1980, she made a dazzling Broadway debut as Sheila in A Chorus Line. Her talent continued to shine in revivals like Little Me and Sweet Charity, the latter earning her a Tony Award. But it was her portrayal of Velma Kelly in the 1996 Chicago revival that truly catapulted her to stardom. The demanding role, Neuwirth joked, felt like performing microsurgery every night. However, it brought her immense recognition, including a Tony Award and several others. Neuwirth found love twice. In 1984, she married Paul Dorman, whom she met after a performance in New York. Their marriage lasted until 1991. In 2009, she tied the knot with director Chris Calkins. Beyond acting, Neuwirth is a passionate advocate for various causes. Witnessing the challenges dancers face, she established a program at the Actors Fund specifically catering to their needs. She's also lent her support to organizations like Seeds of Peace and animal rescue groups. A true cat lover, Neuwirth has shared her home with feline companions over the years, from Frankie, named after architect Frank Lloyd Wright, to her current furry family, Bobby, Tallulah, and Billy. Jackie Swanson as Kelly Gaines. Someone once said that Woody Boyd found love with Kelly Susan Boyd in Season 7, and she stuck around for quite a while, appearing in a whopping 24 episodes. Just like Woody, Kelly seemed a little new to the world, and maybe not a rocket scientist. But hey, they both had that sweetness and good manners in common, and even though Kelly came from serious money, she never looked down on anyone. Believe it or not, back in 1985, Kelly, the actress who plays her, actually got her start in a Prince video. She was the one in the Raspberry Beret who handed Prince his guitar in Raspberry Beret. They were even friends, and Prince wrote a song just for her called Palomino Pleasure Ride. Her first big movie role came in 1987 with Lethal Weapon. She played the unfortunate Amanda Hunsaker, who took a pretty nasty fall from a building. Talk about commitment. She did that whole stunt herself, free-falling from 35 feet. That's some serious dedication. That Lethal Weapon gig wasn't the only time she worked with some big names. She teamed up with the same cameraman, Stephen Goldblatt, again on Charlie Wilson's War. The 90s kept her busy too. She had a recurring part on Baby Talk in 1991, even graced the cover of TV Guide in 1992, and walked the runway for Ralph Lauren. Fast forward to 2002, and she's back on our screens in a car commercial, this time picking up her husband who emerges from a submarine. Talk about dramatic entrances. But that wasn't all. She's been in commercials for everything from kitchen fans to pita chips, popcorn to Hummers, Fords, and Toyotas. Kelly, or rather the actress, even lent her voice to a good cause, appearing in a public service announcement for fighting meth use. Paul Wilson as Paul Crapence. Ever wonder about that guy, Paul Crapence, who seemed to live at Cheers? He first walked in during Fools and Their Money back in '85 and stayed put all the way to the series finale. He usually trailed behind Norm and Cliff, hoping to be part of their crew. But let's be honest, they mostly left him out in the cold, which definitely stung. Still, sometimes he'd manage to weasel his way into something he really wanted to do. '70s, worsened by alcoholism. Thankfully, he found sobriety in 1976 through Alcoholics Anonymous. However, the actor behind Paul Wilson, is a familiar face. You might have seen him in shows like Laverne and Shirley or Full House. He's even popped up in hipper stuff like Curb Your Enthusiasm and even ventured into the future with Star Trek Voyager. Here's a little trivia tidbit. Paul almost wasn't his character's name. They originally called him Greg because there was already another Paul on the show. Speaking of other shows, Wilson spent a good chunk of time as Gary Shandling's neighbor on It's Gary Shandling's Show. Movies? He's done those too, from laugh-out-loud comedies like Office Space to flicks like Problem Child 2. Plus, he's even lent his voice to cartoons like Disney's Recess. Apparently, the big boss behind Cheers said Paul Wilson is one of the best improv artists he's ever seen. Now that's saying something. Keene Curtis as John Allen Hill. Season 9 brought some unwelcome news for Sam at Cheers. The new owner of Melville's, the fancy seafood place upstairs, turned out to be a real pain, John Allen Hill. John threw a wrench in things by claiming the deed to Melville's included some of Cheers' space, like the bathrooms and game room. Sam wasn't happy, to say the least. John, with his snooty attitude, lorded it over Sam for a while, collecting rent until Sam and Rebecca teamed up to buy back what was rightfully theirs. Let's just say John didn't exactly win any popularity contests at Cheers. The actor who played John, Keene Curtis, had a fascinating background. Born in Utah, he served his country in the Navy during World War II. After the war, he went to college and even won an award for being the best actor there. Before becoming a big-shot actor, Keene started out behind the scenes for a famous dance company. Then Broadway came calling. He landed roles in shows and even won a prestigious Tony Award for his performance. But Keene wasn't just a theater guy. He also appeared in movies, starting all the way back in a 1948 film directed by the legendary Orson Welles. You might recognize him from other films, too. Roger Rees as Robin Colcord. Remember Robin Colcord, the super-rich British businessman who charmed Rebecca Howe on Cheers? The actor who played him, Roger Rees, had a career that went way beyond that fancy pub. Roger started out with the Royal Shakespeare Company, even playing Malcolm in a famous production of Macbeth. But his big break came with a play called The Life and Adventures of Nicholas Nickleby. He totally nailed the lead role, winning awards on both sides of the Atlantic. A recording of the play even got him an Emmy nod. He kept racking up credits in London's West End, starring in shows like The Real Thing. His final stage performance was opposite the legendary Chita Rivera in a musical called The Visit. Sadly, illness forced him to leave the show early. Roger was a busy bee. He was planning to direct a new musical and even do a one-man Shakespeare show. He was also deeply involved in the theater community. In 2014, he was diagnosed with brain cancer. Though he was sick, he remained dedicated to his art, performing in The Visit until his very last days. Roger Rees passed away in New York City in 2015 at the age of 71. Broadway theaters even dimmed their lights in his honor, a true sign of respect for a talented actor. Mark Arnott as Mark. Meet Mark, the sharp dresser with dark hair who joined the gang at Cheers in Chambers vs. Malone, 1987, and stayed until Indoor Fun with Sammy and Robbie, 1990. Remember the episode where everyone's a bit too merry to drive? Mark was the voice of reason, calling them a cab. Before Cheers, Mark led a full life. He started at Dartmouth College in New Hampshire but took a break in the late 60s to explore the country. Talk about wanderlust. He even built a couple of dinner theaters before finishing his degree in 1975. Dartmouth even gave him an award that funded his acting studies with a renowned teacher in New York City. Acting became his passion. He started in movies and then moved on to theater, both on Broadway and beyond. He even landed some key roles in brand new plays by famous writers. But Mark has another hidden talent. He's a martial arts master. A black belt himself, he now teaches classes in California. His dojo is apparently the top dog in Pasadena. Mark's been married twice, once in 1987 and again in 2009. Jay Thomas as Eddie LeBec. In the two-part episode, Never Love a Goalie, 1987, Carla Tortelli meets Guy Eddie LeBec, a Boston Bruins ice hockey player with a long winning streak and a French-Canadian background, and begins dating him. Unfortunately, their relationship brings an end to Eddie's streak. Starting in December 1998, Thomas made annual Christmas appearances on David Letterman's CBS late-night show. Thankfully, he found sobriety in 1976 through Alcoholics Anonymous. However, during one show, Letterman and then New York Jets quarterback Vinny Testaverde took turns throwing footballs to knock a large meatball off the top of a Christmas tree on the stage. Despite their repeated attempts, they failed, until Thomas joined them and promptly knocked the meatball off the tree. In subsequent visits to Letterman's show, Thomas shared a story about his time as a young disc jockey around 1972 at Waze 610 AM in Charlotte, North Carolina. During a promotional appearance at a local Dodge dealership, actor Clayton Moore, best known as the Lone Ranger, also made an appearance in his Lone Ranger costume. Every year thereafter, except in 2013, Thomas appeared on the show to retell the Lone Ranger story, which Letterman described as the best talk show story ever, and to participate in what Letterman called the Late Show Quarterback Challenge. For his final appearance in December 2014, Thomas once again successfully knocked the meatball off the top of the tree. Jay Thomas passed away from throat cancer on August 24, 2017, surrounded by his family in Santa Barbara, California, at the age of 69. Shelley Long as Diane Chambers. Diane Chambers is a highly academic and sophisticated college student. In the pilot, Diane is abandoned by her fiancé, Sumner Sloan, for whom she had worked as an assistant, as he goes back to his ex-wife. Without a job, money, or a partner, she reluctantly becomes a cocktail waitress. Over time, she becomes a close friend of Coach. Long's breakthrough as an actress came when she started performing in local commercials for Homemaker's Furniture Store in the Chicago area. In Chicago, Long joined the Second City comedy troupe. In 1975, she began writing, producing, and co-hosting the program Sorting It Out on WMAQ-TV, earning 3 regional Emmys for her work on the show. During the 1970s, she also appeared in VO5 shampoo print advertisements and commercials for Kamei soap, as well as more Homemaker's Furniture commercials. In 1978, she appeared in a vignette on The Love Boat. Long guest starred in several TV shows such as 8 Simple Rules, Yes Dear, Strong Medicine, and Boston Legal. She had a recurring role on the popular ABC sitcom Modern Family as Dee Dee Pritchett, the ex-wife of Jay Pritchett. Long portrayed Carol Brady in the 1995 film The Brady Bunch Movie, a campy take on the popular television show. In 1996, she reprised her role in a Very Brady sequel, which had modest success, and in a 2002 television film sequel, The Brady Bunch in the White House. She starred in television films, including Falling in Love with the Girl Next Door and Holiday Engagement. In 2012, she made a guest appearance on Switched at Birth. In 2016, Long produced and acted in the feature film Different Flowers. Long's first marriage, to Ken Solomon, ended in divorce in the 1970s after only a few years. In 1979, she met her second husband, Bruce Tyson, a securities broker. They married in 1981 and had a daughter, Juliana. Long and Tyson separated in 2003 and divorced in 2004. Wow, that was quite a journey down memory lane, wasn't it? Watching the Cheers cast change over 42 years. They might have aged a little, but the laughs remain timeless. Cheers to the cast and crew for giving us so much joy. If you like this video, remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more nostalgic moments. Cheers in Chambers vs. Malone, 1987, and stayed until Indoor Fun with Sammy and Robbie, 1990. Remember the episode where everyone's a bit too merry to drive? Mark was the voice of reason, calling them a cab. Before Cheers, Mark led a full life. He started at Dartmouth College in New Hampshire, but took a break in the late 60s to explore the country. Talk about wanderlust. He even built a couple of dinner theaters before finishing his degree in 1975. Dartmouth even gave him an award that funded his acting studies with a renowned teacher in New York City. Acting became his passion. He started in movies and then moved on to theater, both on Broadway and beyond. He even landed some key roles in brand new plays by famous writers. But Mark has another hidden talent. He's a martial arts master. A black belt himself, he now teaches classes in California. His dojo is apparently the top dog in Pasadena. Mark's been married twice, once in 1987 and again in 2009. Jay Thomas as Eddie LeBec. In the two-part episode Never Love a Goalie, 1987, Carla Tortelli meets Guy Eddie LeBec, a Boston Bruins ice hockey player with a long winning streak and a French-Canadian background, and begins dating him. Unfortunately, their relationship brings an end to Eddie's streak. Starting in December 1998, Thomas made annual Christmas appearances on David Letterman's CBS late-night show. Thankfully, he found sobriety. Her guest appearances were numerous, spanning shows like Mr. Adams and Eve, The Real McCoys, Perry Mason, The Beverly Hillbillies, and Bewitched. She even tackled the role of Mrs. Hermione Monteagle in the classic Batman series of the 1960s. Norma officially became a U.S. citizen in 1949. Sadly, her life ended too soon when she passed away from heart failure in Santa Barbara, California, just shy of her 91st birthday. Daniel Truhitte as Rolf. Daniel Truhitte's most recognizable role is undoubtedly the charming telegram boy, Rolf Gruber, in The Sound of Music, 1965. But his passion for performing began much earlier. At the tender age of 6, he started dance training, followed by vocal lessons at 10. By 15, his talent earned him a scholarship to the Sacramento Ballet. After graduating high school, Daniel secured another scholarship, this time to the Pasadena Playhouse. He also enrolled at Ambassador College in Pasadena, California. Following his experience filming The Sound of Music, Daniel served his country in the U.S. Marine Corps during the Vietnam War. In 1969, he relocated to Weddington, North Carolina, eventually settling in Concord, North Carolina. There he found a new calling, inspiring young performers by becoming a teacher. His connection to The Sound of Music continued. In 1993, after being approached by the Old Courthouse Theater in Concord to play Captain Von Trapp, he appeared in an episode of Entertainment Tonight titled A Day in the Life of Dan Truhitte. He later reprised the role in a dinner theater production in Hudson, North Carolina, October 2013. He even returned to the stage at New York's prestigious Carnegie Hall for a gala concert performance of The Sound of Music, portraying Baron Elberfeld, a party guest. Daniel has been married 3 times. His first wife, whom he married in 1966, was German actress Gabriele Hennig, the understudy for his co-star Charmian Carr. Their romance blossomed during filming and led to their marriage 2 years later, although it ultimately ended in divorce. He then married Mary Miller in 1987, though their marriage also dissolved. In 1992, he found love again with Terrialia Haney. Daniel is a proud father of 3 sons, one of whom, Thomas Rolfe Truhitte, carries on the family legacy as an opera singer, Anna Lee as Sister Margareta. Anna Lee, before becoming a soap opera icon, had a brief stint as Sister Margareta in The Sound of Music. This resourceful nun, along with another, played a key role in the Von Trapp's escape by disabling a Nazi vehicle. Lee honed her craft at the prestigious Central School of Speech and Drama. Her acting career began at 19 with a small part in His Lordship, 1932. During the early 1930s, she took on various minor roles, often uncredited, in films. Her final British film was Return to Yesterday, a story about a young actress smitten with a visiting Hollywood star. In 1939, Lee and her husband, who had landed a contract with David O. Selznick, set sail for Hollywood. Throughout World War II, Lee remained a vocal supporter of the British war effort. In 1943, she joined other British actors in Forever and a Day, a fundraising film for British charities. After marrying director Robert Stevenson in 1933, Lee moved to Hollywood in 1939. Their union produced 2 daughters, Venetia and Caroline. Venetia, a former actress, later married Don Everly of the Everly Brothers. Their marriage ended in 1944, with the daughters choosing to live with their father. During a USO tour that same year, Lee met her second husband, George Stafford, a pilot. They married in June 1944 and had 3 sons together, John, Stephen, and Tim. Lee's dedication to preserving historical landmarks earned her an MBE in 1982. In 1995, she received a permanent spot on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Tragically, Lee passed away from pneumonia in 2004 at the age of 91, just months before she was scheduled to receive a Daytime Emmy Lifetime Achievement Award for her career. Her son, Jeffrey Byron, accepted the award in her honor. General Hospital paid tribute to Lee by holding a memorial service for her character, Lila Quartermain, on July 16, 2004. Ben Wright as Herr Zeller. Ben Wright's portrayal of the villainous Nazi Herr Zeller in The Sound of Music, 1965, catapulted him to international fame. However, his acting career stretched far beyond this iconic role. Wright's voice was a powerful tool. He brought iconic characters like Sherlock Holmes, 1949-1950, and Inspector Peter Black on Pursuit, 1951-1952, to life on the radio. He wasn't afraid of accents or diverse roles. Wright played Tulku, the Indian servant on The Green Llama, Hey Boy, the Chinese bellhop in the radio version of Have Gun Will Travel, and even characters with various dialects on the UK radio program Nightbeat. His range was impressive, from the Cockney hero in The Man Who Worked Miracles to the legendary Arabian figure in The Voyages of Sinbad on the anthology series Escape. His radio work didn't stop there. He lent his voice to shows like Gunsmoke, crime classics, and suspense. Wright also made his mark on television. He appeared on Perry Mason 3 times, portraying different characters each time. From the terrified typist to the cunning murderer with a Welsh accent, he showcased his versatility. Historical dramas weren't out of his reach either. He played Governor Jose Maria de Echandia in Forbidden Wedding, an episode of the anthology series Death Valley Days. Wright's talents weren't limited to live-action roles. He brought a chilling presence to various alien characters in The Outer Limits, sometimes even appearing on screen alongside his voice work. His voice graced numerous films as well. He narrated Cleopatra, 1963, starring Elizabeth Taylor, announced the scenes in the film adaptation of The Diary of Anne Frank, 1959, and even voiced beloved characters in Disney films. He played Roger Radcliffe, the songwriter in 101 Dalmatians, 1961, Mowgli's wolf father, Rama, in The Jungle Book, 1967, and Grimsby in The Little Mermaid, 1989, which became his final role. Sadly, Ben Wright passed away on July 2, 1989, at the age of 74 after undergoing heart surgery. Angela Cartwright as Brigitta von Trapp. Angela Cartwright, born in 1952 in Altrincham, England, portrayed Brigitta von Trapp in the classic film The Sound of Music, 1965. Her family relocated to Los Angeles by way of Canada when she was just a year old. Her acting career began at a young age. At 3, she appeared alongside Paul Newman in Somebody Up There Likes Me, 1956, and later shared the screen with Rock Hudson and Sidney Poitier in Something of Value, 1957. For 7 seasons, Cartwright became a familiar face on television, starring opposite comedian Danny Thomas in The Danny Thomas Show. Their bond remained strong even after the show ended, lasting until Thomas's passing in 1991. Another iconic role followed, Penny Robinson in the sci-fi series Lost in Space, 1965-1968. She continued to grace the small screen with guest appearances on shows like My Three Sons, Adam 12, and The Love Boat. Cartwright's television work extended beyond series. She starred in TV movies like Scout's Honor, 1980, and High School USA, 1983, and even reunited with Lost in Space producer Irwin Allen for Beyond the Poseidon Adventure, 1979. She revisited the world of Lost in Space with a cameo in the 1998 film and a role in the 2018 Netflix reboot. In her personal life, Cartwright married Steve Gullion in 1976 and has 2 children with him. Photography has been a passion for over 30 years, with her work showcased at her Studio City studio. A devout Catholic, she has attended Mass at St. Charles Borromeo with her sister Veronica. Getting older is a natural part of life, and these folks are all rocking it. If you enjoyed this, be sure to like and subscribe for more classic cast reunions. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss an upload. See you next time.